Who's getting a visit from the police this week? How did Sherry afford that wedding? And does Letitia take the plea deal? To answer this and many more questions, allow me to take us back to the beginning. Hello and welcome to Lawd Lukan. It's time to tell the truth and nothing like the truth as we swear in on another episode of Life After Lockup. On today's show, James Keith is having troubles getting started. Karen's got some relationship advice.
If it don't fit, don't force it.
Juju's got some style tips.
Very New York.
I ask if Sherry was part of a property scam. We've got story time with Damodrick.
If a gorilla was mad at the lion.
Can you spot this week's parole violations? And who the hell is Justine Monique Garcia? All this and more right here on the Lawd Lukan channel.
This is gonna be a long day.
Good day, bonsoir, and konnichiwa to you. Big loves to those who've subscribed, you beautiful people. And a set of my delightful stickers, the lords and ladies of the Lukan Manor. First to take to the skies around Lalu Land is Kiana, Damodrick, and Wally. And today, Kiana is off to see her lawyer, Justine. Ah, that reminds me of a joke. What do you call a man with a small cock? Justin. Anyway, because Wally says...
Kiana allegedly
Close enough.
put dumb on my window and allegedly flattened my tires.
I hadn't heard that bit before. The person in question had put poop on a window. Wow, now that was dedication to the cause, that wasn't it? Or, defecation to the cause, whichever you fancy. But Wally seems like she's having a change of heart about the charges and has gone to see good old mid-shave Shaq, who's busy playing with his nozzle, to discuss her idea.
I was looking for your son, but I'm cool with talking to you.
Now the disappointing thing that this means is that we don't get to see a cool polygraph test. In all the fun shows about polygraphs and DNA tests, they get to throw something. Or Maury, they get to throw themselves on the floor. Or they could go and throw some furniture at Steve Wilkos. Or a bunch of flowers at a guy you thought was your girlfriend on Jerry. Just out of curiosity though, if I said, and it turns out that Wally is actually Alan from Alabama, would you be surprised? Meanwhile, at Justin, the lawyer's office...
So I've got the police reports and all the evidence that the prosecutor's office has presented to me.
I wonder if that includes the CCTV footage. I'm thinking Kiana will be doing an interrogation of her own if she see who's been playing Wee Willie Winkies running through Wally's town.
She wants to be reimbursed for the property damage.
But I already reimbursed her money before.
Then it's not just Jerry, Springer, not Shaq, that's got a baldy sidekick. Justin's got Keith. See... Yes, these people are all Keiths, but then poor old Keith rocked up. I mean, that's just taking the piss, isn't it? In America, and people go nuts with names. There's more than 1,000 varieties of the name Unique, for example. His parents could have had anything in the world, like, Zion, or King, or Maximus. But it seems like the boys get the rough old end of the naming stick. True story. I used to work with a delightful African fellow. He was the vice principal and a DJ in his spare time. And do you know what his mama called him? Adolf. Yeah. Also getting a name upgrade is Flowrider, whose name is Tremar Dillard. Dillard. Elton John, of course, is Reginald Dwight. And Ice-T is Tracy Lauren Marrow. Yeah, well, I'm not going to go and say that to his face. Although us Brits don't have the hang of that yet either. As when Arnold Dorsey was selecting his name, he decided to go for Engelbert Humperdinck. Can you imagine what he came up with that didn't make it through the selection process? Crinklebottom Shagarama, maybe. But an honourable mention should go to the girls who have suffered with such a fate too. Meg Ryan, for example, is Margaret, Mary, Emily, and Hira. Nice. Anyways, back to Keith, who I imagine has one of those miniature locomotives that he rides around his garden at the weekend. He says that Wally wants money, and if Kiana pays up, it'll all be over. So will she bite her tongue and pay out? Next to get under starters orders are Will and Courtney, who are just stopping by on their way to the final interview together in this delightful Airbnb, which sort of looks like it's had a door smashed in a few times. Bit like Courtney, apparently. Will is currently pretending not to totally be in love with Courtney, particularly as she had a rather personal Uberer.
Courtney just pulled up with her new dude, which is just lightning fast. I don't understand why that just happened like that.
Well, as the coolest man ever named Harold would say... Yes, indeed. If that duck-shaped thing is busy quacking and waddling around, don't be surprised if it lays an egg. Or a sugar daddy, whichever has the most cash. Oh, and I've got to go back to Harold Melvin quickly. I mean, his parents didn't do him any favours, did he? With a surname Melvin, you're going to have problems at school. Maybe they thought if they gave him a first name like Harold, they'd take the focus away from his surname. So, problem solved. Also got to shout out to his band, the Blue Notes, in the background. We've got note number 1, Bum Note. He got the pink outfit. Delightful. That's like being in Kiss and having to be the cat guy. But that face says, yeah, I might be hung like a squirrel, but I can still smoulder in my pink outfit. Then we've got Peekaboo Note, who has his nipple out. Just the one, though, because, it might look silly if you have them both out. Then we've got Harold. Ah, how handsome he is. Good job to you. And then this one. What's that? That must be Franken Note. Did you ever wonder what the bad guy from Sportacus did before he went full-time villainy? And then we've got Uncle Note, who has a mightily suspicious hairline. What if there's a bit of turf on the pitch? And there they are. Well, that's a cacophony of pastel going on there, isn't it? Well, those trousers are so tight, you can see everyone's cacophonies pretty well. Harold's a lefty, apparently. So they're just here setting the scene for now, so that Courtney can force out a fake laugh.
If you only knew.
Will seems like he's even more cut up about the whole thing than he was before. But why? I hope he hasn't gone and slept with her again. I mean, that would be pretty annoying.
The other day. I should have just had a beer and spanked my and went to bed, bro. This is crazy.
Why I order? We'll be back there later, but before that it's time for a little bit of Brooke, James Keith, and the ex Alex. Now, let's see how sharp your observations are. In this clip, there's a parole violation. Can you spot it?
Baby, now you want to talk? Now you want to figure it out?
That's right, it's the massive cookies bag in the back seat. Ah, yes, cookies. The dispensary has just opened new stores in Texas, and in James Keith's back seat too. Now, I don't really know if it's a parole violation or not, seeing as medical things are legal in Texas, but he does seem to be in possession of it. Maybe it's Big John's stash. Maybe she gets her 3 5s in kilograms. So, then Alex says,
Well, where the was that energy when we were screwing? When you was coming over here late nights?
Gross. Yeah, well, that'll be why you're pregnant, I guess. So after that fruitful meeting with Alex, James Keith notices that he's only got 11 missed calls from Brooke. And oh look, she's left him a delightfully personal voicemail. Oh, young love.
You ain't too busy. You probably got the mother in your hand playing with your little into the bone.
But what are James Keith's plans? Will he tell Brooke that he might have accidentally impregnated Alex? Or will he wait out the pregnancy, see what the DNA test says, then head to the Winchester and wait for it all to blow over? Well, he's going to the Winchester to wait for it all to blow over.
Nah, probably just tell it in.
Yeah, sure you will, yeah. I have a feeling he'd just try to hide that poor child as long as possible. But as one of my delightful viewers commented, James Keith's dad is very close to Alex. Did Alex look at him and think, I'll let him trim my bushes? But all this stress is starting to get to Casanova.
I'm at the end of my rope, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm to my last straw, like.
Well, I hope Brooke doesn't rock up unexpectedly to make sure he's not having a good time.
JK, answer this boy.
Damn it! Oh look, she's just left the lights on too. She might need to jump later. Not you, James Keith. More from them later, but before we move on to our next couple, please do subscribe and give me a little like. And why not hype the video? It's free and helps me get out to a wider audience. In fact, last week, the hypes you clicked gave me a score of 22,000 hype points. Good job, you. I've got no idea what that means, but it sounds like quite a big number. Probably. So, keep doing that. That's fantastic. Thank you. From one Keith to another. See what the scamming fraudster who steals people's money, flexes fake wealth, but then gets put in prison for food stamp fraud. And Keith. And today, whilst in a cafe, Letitia gets a life-changing call.
It's my attorney, okay? I gotta go. All right. Hi.
Hi, Lawd Lukan here from Lawd Lukan Publishing. Is that Letitia?
Yes.
Fantastic. So I'm reading your upcoming biography. Memoir. Stiletto-wearing felon, the Letitia Collier style.
Are you serious?
So, we were thinking that robbing people and admitting to not know what you spent loads of money on and committing crimes under the guise of helping people might go against the female empowerment message that you've been peddling. In fact, we think you're quite an insult to women like Lisa Price, who legitimately built her business from her kitchen. Also, we've decided that no one cares about your life and that you generally suck.
Done. I'm done filming. I gotta go.
Today, La Fraudster and Keith are enjoying a little family time over dinner. But she never serves asparagus normally. Who even does that? That's on par with avocado on brown toast, isn't it? Ooh, did you know that avocado was a type of berry? There you go. Anyway, yay asparagus for dinner. Now we can all have funky smelling wee for the rest of the day. That is a constructed for the TV show kind of dinner, isn't it there? And over that totally normal and totally not staged meal, the topical thankfulness comes up.
Well, I'm thankful for family. They provide a home for me.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, come on now. She didn't provide that home. One of her clients' credentials she fraudulently used provided that home. I hope she then got kicked out of because she didn't pay the rent. So, yay, Letitia.
I'm going to always be here for you. I'm going to always have your back.
All right, then. Let's not just lie to the poor lad. Next comes one of the finest pieces of acting since Sahara couldn't find Troy.
Where's Troy?
Yes, you may have witnessed the enigmatic performance of such actresses as Octavia Spencer in that film where she made a poo pie. You may have been in awe at the wonder that is Zendaya, or the countless other amazing actresses. Aside from Gal Gadot, she's awful, isn't she? She's terrible. So hold on to your acting pants as we behold this performance.
Cool. That's all right.
Oh, God.
And the award for Best Crying Scene in Reality TV Show goes to Amber Heard.
My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet.
Oh, better luck next year, scammer. Let's hope her performance of someone not going to prison is a bit better than that one. She has two choices currently. She could either take the plea deal or she could take it to trial. If she loses, though, she'd be looking at more time. The fact that judges treating her as a habitual offender is adding time already. Speaking of habitual offender, coming soon on my Herb and Spice labels, Lawd Lukan's Habitual Offender Collection. Yes, indeed, you can wow your friends with your delightful sense of humour with my range of super fun labels. All I need is a supplier in the US to give me a reasonable price. We're nearly there. But anyway, she does seem to be embracing the idea that those stilettos might not walk back out the courtroom.
If I take it to trial and I lose, then I'm looking at, quite some time.
We could look at similar cases to get an idea of what she might get, like Linda Taylor here, who claimed to be both Asian and Jewish. She repeatedly committed identity theft and welfare fraud, similar to Letitia. She had kids, similar to Letitia, but she may or may not committed a bit of kidnap, bigamy, and a spot of unaliving someone. For the fraudy bit, she got 3 to 7 years in Dwight Correctional Centre, but there wasn't any concrete evidence for the sort of kidnappy, murdery bit. It's actually a really interesting story and a book called The Queen. But what about our present case? What do you think? Does she deserve prison time? What would you do if you're the judge? Is 2 to 3 years a reasonable guess? Well, Natisha is concerned about her daughter. If only there was someone who she could gaslight into being her father, so her ex doesn't take custody.
Unless somebody fought for her, You're her father. You've been there since she was 3 years old.
Oh, well, there's that bar for fatherhood, taking another huge step downwards there, isn't it? I think the only person who believes this man is some kind of father is the poor old little person. And bless her. But will Keith be convinced to stick around? Off now to Buffalo to see Zeruiah and Troy. Then, bits of his dad still, probably. that was a bit extra, wasn't it?
I love this man so much, he gonna live with me forever.
And he hasn't changed yet, so, sharp breeze and there'll be little puffs of dad wafting through the restaurant. But in his mind, it was all about growth and maturity. It was a powder and somewhat gritty awakening.
Maybe that's just my way of maturing and God trying to show me something.
Yeah, sorry about that. I ordered Respect to the Dead, but I think it auto-corrected to stick it on your head. So, I've written to ChatGOD to complain. But what if Troy was right? He was accidentally right about Zeruiah being pregnant. But what if something strange has happened and Troy is now actually going to be right about everything? Maybe God was trying to give him a sign. And now he's done one speech, Troy's all over it and wants to do another one.
Hey, everybody. So...
And everyone's like, oh no, I hope he doesn't start smearing the starter all over his head. Me and his wings, we're gonna be together forever. So Troy does a whole bit where he recaps the story. Not exactly a Lawd Lukan level review though. He managed to stay mostly on topic the whole way through. But Zeruiah wants to wait till she can tell her family too. But then the tree starts ringing. Oh no, who's on the tree phone? It's Troy's baby mama, who's come to collect Troy's daughter Troy. Yeah, that's naming, isn't it? And you can see why they didn't stay together. Troy starts banging on again about the same old blah blah, step up, new start, blah blah. And she clearly gets a bit bored too, so starts checking out her phone.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with you, but we don't gotta never reiterate that choice, so.
They're like jelly and steel, aren't they? I imagine when she first met him, she might have fallen for the street Troy persona, presumably, and then she got to know him. And found out that he's softer than Danny Trejo's hard bits. Oh, and before we leave them for now, if you don't know, Zeruiah and Troy welcomed their baby in August. Good luck to them. Now, here's the moment I've been waiting for. It's a trip to see the Millz, Juju and Millz. And we pick up with them from last week, where they were having dinner with the family. Juju said she'd pay her parts of the wedding, and Millz stormed off. Mainly because he's not got the money he's promised her. Because he wants to help Jay the barber, who works for a small chain of salons, All Stars, which is owned by a guy called Jojo White III. In fact, All Stars have just opened up their own male and female salon. That sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? So JJ wants to emulate what his boss has done, presumably for greed, and wants to set up a business in direct competition with him, which means Jay the barber's loyalties are about as thin as Mills's hairline. And Sherry has her opinions too. Fucking love you. It's weird how now you know she's a pisshead, you can see and hear it. Now, when I came across those headlines last week, I was actually searching for evidence of how Sherry might have been able to afford the $100,000 for the wedding that she paid for. Well, I think now is the perfect time for a slice of my hang on a second pie. This one's full of coincidence and questions. So get your thinking knickers on, because this one's a little complicated. Ready? Hang on a second. So, to understand the story, we need to know some characters. This is Sherry McCaffrey, or Sherry Tomaso. She, of course, has a delightful daughter, Justine, or Justine Monique Persaud, as she is now, or Justine Monique Shelton, as she was previously, or Justine M. Garcia. Garcia. It's a name linked to some of the same addresses as Sherry, but where does this Garcia come from? Did she have more than one previous marriage? Or is Garcia, this man here, the man who gave Sherry a child, then promptly left 2 weeks later? Also the man who appeared at Juju's 16th birthday and then just disappeared. Well, it's here where I stop this one. I think there's limits to what is newsworthy and what is a little bit intrusive and deeply personal. I don't think there's much merit in exposing who this Navy guy is. Juju clearly got some trauma she's been holding on to for a long time, and I think it goes outside my mission of having fun and learning something interesting. Sherry the pisshead? Yeah, she's fair game. Her issues are public. But after hearing Juju's story, I think the correct thing to do is not to scratch at her old wounds. The same with Juju's first husband, who I believe is this man, who pops up all over one of her daughter Kylie's Instagram accounts. Here is one of her more public-facing Instagram accounts. There's something of a cheerleadery theme, and sort of a little bit cheeky in places. The account I think could be her dad doesn't like or comment on this profile, but here is someone else we know that does. Jay the barber. So what's Mills's business partner doing looking up Juju's daughter and liking her stuff? I would kind of question that myself. Maybe he's just caring. Maybe he just likes college cheerleaders, for the artistic choreography. Yes. Or maybe he's just been perving at Juju's teenage daughter and needs a visit from the morality police on slap the shit out of you day. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For now, we've got Sherry under the microscope. Now, I'm pretty sure Sherry's parents were Mary and Robert, so I think we've got a list of characters for now. And I believe Sherry's ex-husband, Rocco Tomaso, now lives in this house in South Carolina, but there's no record of him anywhere. I know he's younger than Sherry. She married a toy boy with no money, evidently. That went well. But aside from no public records about it, there aren't any obituaries or death notices. So what happened to the ex-husband? Is he buried in the garden after an alcohol-fueled argument? Well, no, there's probably absolutely no evidence of that. I mean, you'd have to have some connections to some kind of law firm, perhaps specialises in probate and conveniently located in the area and all the areas that you've lived in. And one of the partners is a probate judge at the district court, which controls that sort of thing. But I can't think of anything, and that's just all speculation, allegedly. Please don't sue me. So, what was going on in her life at the time of her wedding? Well, let's add the fact that she also bought a house in the same year for around $260,000. So it wasn't just a $100K wedding, it was a $360K package of expensive stuff. Well, at the time she was, or kind of still is, for now at least, a nurse. And in the mid-2000s she'd be earning on average about $70,000 a year. Okay, so if she just lived with Mary and Robert and just saved all her money, she would be able to do it, right? Well, the thing that might have made it a little bit easier was that in 2006, Robert sadly died. And we could imagine that there was some inheritance in the form of properties. This house, for example, which was purchased for only $1 in 2015 and was recently sold for $520,000. That's not bad, is it? $519,999 profit. Perhaps some outstanding debts. I mean, that kind of deal doesn't come along every day, does it? Brace yourself. Hang on a second, 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 and hang on a second. Sherry is connected to this house on Main Street, Waretown, which was bought in 2019 for only $15,000 when the market value was $245,000. This address in North Smithfield, Rhode Island, bought for $307,000 when the value was $508,000. This house in Warren, Missouri, bought for $62,000 when the value was $162,000. This house in Washington, Missouri, bought for $164K in 2002 when the value was $315,000. In fact, of the 8 addresses Sherry is linked to, they've all had the fortune to be way undervalued. Even Sherry's current house, bought for $260,000 when the market value was $450,000. Wow, that's some sort of luck, isn't it? It's like she got tipped off about properties, which happen to be in the same area as a legal company who specializes in probate and tax law, and has a business partner who was the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Interesting, but completely alleged. You make what you want from it. Now, I must add that all this proves nothing but a link to the properties. That doesn't necessarily suggest that anything less legal has occurred. But, if you work for one more moment on this, how else could someone get knowledge of people who are trying to get rid of homes with little or no equity, or in a state of repair and have some trouble selling it? You might need somewhere like a nursing home, perhaps. Somewhere where people might trust you with that kind of personal information. Hold that thought as I take you back to that fateful evening when Sherry was arrested. She started her shift, according to court documents, at 3 p.m. At 8:30 p.m., college reported the smell of alcohol and the regular visits to her car. She was then escorted to her car, quite why they let a drunk woman drive, I don't know, at 9 p.m. And we know she was arrested here on Putnam Pike at 9:39. Thing is, we don't really know where she was working. Somewhere nursey, apparently. But in this area there are many nursing homes. How can we find out which one it was? Well, let's work it out. If she was arrested for travelling below the minimum speed limit, which on that road is between 25 and 40 miles an hour, minimum speed is what the police judge to be about 15 miles an hour before the posted limit. Therefore, she'd drive at about 10 to 25 miles an hour. Steady on there. We know she was heading east because she was heading to her home, nearly an hour away, which at her speed would have taken nearly 2 hours and taken her through a busy city. So if she'd have been driving at 15 to 25 miles an hour, and therefore would have travelled between 9 and 12 miles, which would place her here, the Crystal Lake Rehab Centre, where they treat people with debilitating conditions age 65 plus. Possibly the kind of people who need to sell legacy properties. Oh, and the Crystal Lake has got nothing to do with Jason, before you ask. They went to change the name from Crystal Lake to Sucker Pond, because it has sucker fish in it, apparently. Also incidental is that she drove past a place called Rocco's Collision, which has nothing to do with her ex-husband, but does seem a little Final Destination-y. Now, Zillow did launch a foreclosure site in the mid-2010s, so it is plausible that she was using a website. However, I haven't been able to find any historic listings for these properties. So, my plum duff, what do you think? Was Sherry making a series of smart property purchases? Was she an heiress? Or did she use a position around old people to find property deals, backed up by a law firm who can make things happen? Allegedly. Well, those are my findings. What do you think? More on that later, and I've even crafted another song for you. But I'll play that towards the end of the video. Over to Lubbock, and we're with Kiana, Damodrick, and Wally. And it was a bit boring, really. Justine was saying something about the same old stuff, snore. Then I realised it looked like they have a green screen behind them. Cool, we could put something more interesting on it. What do you fancy? Someone mentioned that show Sister Wife the other day. We could have that.
I decided that I was going to have sex with the guy that I'd be married to, like full on.
Okay.
Or how about a movie? How about that cool bit from Fight Club where all the buildings blow up?
You met me at a very strange time in my life.
With your feet on the air,
Or how about the greatest thing on the internet right now, where he teaches you about stuff, like some of his favorite things.
In my gratitude journal, I always write down restroom, and then I get a little tired, and then I go to sleep.
See how much better that is, and don't take the piss now, I bet you don't have a gratitude journal. And he doesn't just teach you about restrooms, He also explains what a cat is, and in this episode, we find out what a t-shirt is.
What exactly is a t-shirt?
A t-shirt is a piece of fabric.
Okay.
You're welcome. Anyway, back to the most interesting man in Lubbock's.
Keith.
He looked so dejected. He knows he's got a beige name and would have loved to have been something more dangerous, like Bruce. No, yeah, the guys in the office wouldn't stick post-its on your head if your name was Bruce, you know. Speaking of things going in, on, and around the head area, Damodrick's going for an analogy. Which is a surprise, because until recently he thought an analogy is what happened when Wally's front entrance is out of action for a week. But he's ignited the brain fire, and he's going to unload the most epic soundbite since Tito Ortiz. Steady now, here it comes.
If a gorilla was mad at the lion.
Slightly dodgy start. Which one's which?
Do you think we could put the gorilla and the lion in the same cage? On any terms. Oh.
Genius. I mean, absolute genius. But because having all that genius in one place is a bit too much for everyone to handle, Justine asks him politely to go somewhere else and all that big brain thinking. And on the way, he can't resist a quick honk on Kiana's butt.
These people are gonna fight. The king of the jungle versus the biggest ape. These women, territorial. Common enemies.
Well, not really. I mean, you don't see many lions swinging about the jungle. I wonder if he knows that the film Sing isn't actually based on true events. But will Kiana have the meeting Wally wants, and will Wally expose the truth behind Damodrick's nighttime activities? Back to Davenport and Letitia and Keith, and it's court day for Letitia. And having decided to go for the plea deal, she's making sure everything is in place in case it all goes wrong.
You need to be out here holding me down, taking care of the kids. Okay.
Now, there's a man who's totally not going to do whatever it was he was talking about, that he probably wasn't listening to either. There's nothing that a man that's been locked up for 6 years likes more than to be told that he's now responsible for Letitia's life, her kids, and isn't allowed to have girls over to play anymore. And you know what else keeps a man loyal? Not letting him speak, and shouting him down every time he opens his mouth.
I hear him face this mother judge.
I understand.
You're bystander at this point when we go on there.
Look,
said.
Yeah, he'll be around for ages. He's making it pretty clear that even though she stood by him, said she waited for him for so many years, that he's not going to return that favour. And what happened in court? Well, she got away with it. The judge accepted her plea, which ruled out prison time.
I didn't really beat the case, but I beat going to prison, okay? So I'm ready to have babies.
And we have to wait to see what the consequences are. Pretty much nothing, in my mind. She was practicing without a license or proper training before, so why would she not go back to doing it again? Well, at least she's got a man that loves her dearly, right? Back to the Millz. In New York, they call new. And it's always good to see them showing a bit of style. Gotta say, that haircut isn't a great advert for Joe the Barber. Some kind of bowl cut Oliver Tree would be proud of. But Millz is not the only one who's rocking her look today. Check this out.
All right. Are those upside down?
Wow, those are lovely. Yeah, I actually saw these on Temu when I was temporarily persuaded to spin wheels and click on stuff that I don't want, but it's cheap, so why not? And I remember laughing and saying, "Who the hell's gonna buy that shit?" Wow, lo and behold, Juju is who the hell is buying that shit.
Are those upside down? No, but my life at times is.
Very New York.
If Kurt Russell was tasked from escaping from it, sure. That's what people in the 80s thought people in the year 2000 might wear, isn't it? According to the advert, it's called atmospheric modelling. Yeah, that's what I call a load of shit from where I'm sitting. Less than £5 too. Bargain. So, as Millsy stays behind to make some calls to try and find some money, Juju and Sherry head downstairs.
I'm gonna get something to drink. Yeah.
Oh, I bet you do. So, as they do that, man of the streets, ex-felon, turns to his old ways and calls his mum to borrow $1,000. It's gangster. But will he return to selling poison on the streets? Or does he have another plan in mind? Yeah, and then this happened. Who the boy there? He dressed like a noodle, act like a dick, but she thinks it's cool though. She wants a ring and he give a yo-yo, then he bought a place just to fit on his photo. Heard you got a barber shop and nothing petting, not on top of Juju playing dumb when mama's playing with the traffic up, and then they come to Las Vegas and then she wants another dress. She book it for Cuba and I can consider it's still the best. Only me. I believe wise when he talk about labels. Sherry's on a wine passed out on the table. He writes bars like Miss All the Fables. He call it rhyme, but we call denial. Shut the guys through it at the ending of your dream with Maserati, cause you want no shit. Did it hurt just a little bit? Did the world upturning just a little bit? Whose world do you think that you're living in? Who the hell do you think be giving in? Get the breath restarted, and the audience says,
Are you retarded?
Only me. I believe you feel what the hell. Only me. I believe you feel what the hell like. Only me. I believe you feel what the feels like. Who the boy there? He dressed like a noodle, act like a dick, but she thinks it's cool though. She wants a ring and he give a yo-yo. Then he bought a place just to flex on his photo. Heard you got a barber shop and nothing pigeon got on top, and Juju playing dumb while mama's playing with the traffic cop. And then they come to Las Vegas and then she wants another dress. She book it with a coupon and he said it's still the best. Only me. I believe you feel what the feels like. Only me. I believe you feel what the feels like. Last quick stop is with Brooke and James Keith. Now I'm running out of time, so I'm going to do a fairly quick summary. So, Brooke rocks up at Big John's house, banging on the door. Then she barges her way in, stands about like some entitled brat, hand on hip demanding they pay attention to the shit show of a life that she's created for herself. Big John tells her off a bit.
You're just on your tongue with me.
Yeah, you go, Big John, you tell her. Yeah, go, Big John. So she tantrums off to the bathroom where James Keith was bravely hiding and does this. Quite how her little round butt isn't flying out the door, propelled by her foot, is a mystery. She thinks she can storm in and be all... So, more entitled tantrums, and then they call the police on her.
Mom's house.
Answer the phone and I won't have to come to your mom's house. No way.
Good job. But it's probably just a mild disturbance of the peace. They'll just give her a warning and advise her to leave. Unless, of course, they get a whiff of that jolly green bag James Keith has on his back seat.
Keith.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Well, I'm out of time for this week, but I'll be back for more very, very soon. It's an enormous pleasure to have entertained you for this little time we have together. And I do hope you'll join me for another delicious slice next time. So, if you like what I do, then please do like, subscribe, and check out one of these little beauties. So until we meet again, stay beautiful, love to my three, and you take care of yourself.